Story of Medusa is known to everybody. Her appearance is recognizable to everyone, with a living snake instead of her hair. A female upper body, a snake lower body, and eyes that can turn a man into a stone at a glance. Many heroes tried to get her head as a trophy, but failed, resulting in a statue of a deserted Sarpedon that the monster called the House. She was Perseus' main adversary, and Perseus was finally able to kill her by brutally cutting her head off its body. So in today's video, we're going to be talking on the original story of Medusa and why it's so tragic. So, let's get into this. That's all we were taught about the famous monsters when we were kids at school, but this is probably not the story you've heard. Whereas Medusa, former Athena priestess, cursed to transform into a terrifying monster that petrified the victim at a glance after being brutally raped by Poseidon. The story of Medusa is a very interesting mythological subject because it has some notable features not found in other myths. First of all, it is one of the few ancient myths that is still relevant today and is evolving over time. Even today, thousands of years later, Medusa's tragic fate is retold by the narrators of modern stories. It adapts to the needs of our society. Its protagonists are interpreted differently, play different roles, and have new traits in each adaptation. It contains some old, popular classic concepts like the duality of good and evil, beauty and ugliness, justice and punishment, and they are all integral elements of any wonderful story. Since the classical period, the main story of Medusa has begun to take shape. She was a terrifying, snake-haired monster that turned people into stone, until she was killed by Perseus, as explained in the introduction to her article. It may be surprising to know that Perseus and Medusa originally had nothing to do with each other. Perseus is the founder of Mycenaean mythology, and therefore the central figure in the Mycenaean hero pantheon. But it has never been established to actually kill Medusa. There is one important element missing from mythology. It is the goddess Athena. In the main myth, Athena acts as the leader of Perseus, advises him, and presents him with a polished shield to reflect the glare of the monster's death. When Medusa is killed, Athena takes her head and places her head in the center of the shield, both as a trophy and as a weapon to scare the enemy. From this myth, the expression of Medusa appeared on the shield of ancient Greece. Athena is a relatively young goddess, not at all in the Mycenaean pantheon. On the other hand, she's a prominent figure in both Homer's epics. This led historians to believe that their worship probably began after the collapse of the Bronze Era and the beginning of the Middle Ages around 1200 BC. It started before Christ. When new gods appear, he replaces another god and either completely eliminates them or demotes them to a lower level. This is what happened in Athena and Medusa. In the Archaic era, the Greek poet Pindar first mentioned the beautiful face of Medusa. From that point on, many writers embraced this change and began to portray the gentler and more benevolent side of Medusa. There she was not a villain, but a victim of the story. This change was widely adopted during the Roman period. There were many versions, but the most well-known is described in Ovid's book Metamorphoses. Here, you will learn for the first time the story of Poseidon's infamous Medusa rape. In Ovid's own words, quote, "She was once so beautiful and the hope of many, jealous worshippers, and her hair is the most beautiful of all her beauty, at least from someone who claims to seen her. I heard that one day Neptune found her and raped her in a temple in Minerva. And the goddess turned her back and hid her eyes behind the shield. And as a punishment for her angry anger she deserved, she turned her hair into a snake. And even now, to scare the bad guys, she wears a metal, poisonous snake on her chest and acts as a terrifying warning of revenge." From Ovid, Book 4, page 106. This is a myth that explains the origin of Medusa and how she turned into a monster after being accused by Athena of being raped by Poseidon. The reason why the mighty god of the sea was said to have raped Medusa was that she was seen as a way to take revenge on Athena for stealing Athens' asylum from him. In this way, he blasphemed their temple by offending the supreme shrine maiden. The adaptation of Ovid's myth was so successful that it completely changed Medusa's identity and turned her from a monster to a helpless victim. Thanks to the abstract nature of the myth, this story became very popular over time. At this point, we believe that the real monster of this trio is not only Poseidon, but also the so-called goddess of wisdom. Moreover, in the above statement, Ovid may accept these beliefs and consider them to represent a typical and conservative view of the female nature of ancient societies. For a powerful god like Poseidon, a woman is just an object to satisfy his sexual desires. For women like Athena, only rape victims are the culprit, but the above conclusions are meaningless. In addition to being the goddess of wisdom, Athena was also the founder of Athens' first legal system. A victim of rape because the god Hephaestus once tried to rape her, but she managed to fight back. She was a female guardian, not a destroyer. Things get even more strange when we look at Athena's reaction to another infamous Greek rape, Cassandra's rape. Cassandra was the daughter of King Priam of the Trojans, and like Medusa, the priestess of Athena. When Troy fell to the Greeks, she rushed to the temple and was chased by the hero, Ajax the Lesser. Ajax smashed the doors open and found her hugging the statue of Athena, pleading for help and protection. Ajax grabbed Cassandra's hair and began to rape, and the poor girl turned to Athena for help, crying and hugging the statue. Her rape was so horrifying that the statue of the goddess suddenly wept, and she closed her eyes because she didn't want to see the horrifying act, she reported. When Ajax finished his actions, the statue was knocked down from the vase, and Cassandra unknowingly lay on the ground. At this moment, the story has a big surprise. The rest of the Greek heroes were furious at Ajax because of his terrible deeds. For them, the most vicious act was to blaspheme the temple and shrine maiden by hurting them, violating the heroic spirit of their time. Athena's champion Odysseus claimed that Ajax was stoned for his crimes. Ajax was able to escape punishment by, ironically, grabbing the statue of Athena and seeking asylum. Athena was so angry that she left Ajax unpunished by the Greeks, so she sank most of their fleet with Poseidon, and she brought Ajax a horrific death. The original story of Medusa and why it's so tragic. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comment box below. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give the video a thumbs up, and hit the bell icon.